There's one song at the very end of Sin After Sin that helped change the course of heavy metal, and no one even noticed. Released in 1977, Dissident Aggressor was so far ahead of its time that it basically predicted the entire thrash metal movement. But despite being one of Judas Priest's most influential tracks, it remained largely ignored for years.
Can you believe that?
Until it clawed its way back into the spotlight. So today in our Defenders of the Faith series, let's take a look at why this overlooked gem might just be one of the most important songs Priest have ever written, and why they kept ignoring it for so many years. Here you go. Judas Priest's Sin After Sin was their major label debut, and while the whole album helped Judas Priest establish themselves as a band of a different caliber and push heavy metal into new sonic territories, it was its final track that left the deepest scar, which only became visible many years after its release.
Can you believe that?
Dissident Aggressor wasn't just a closer, it was a warning shot, an all-out sonic assault packed with tension, fury, and something the world wasn't quite ready for in 1977. Relentless double bass drumming, speed riffing, and shrieking vocals that barely sounded human. And one of the key elements of its success was, of course, Judas Priest's session drummer, Simon Phillips. Just 19 years old at that time, this absolute beast of a drummer laid down a performance that can only be described as genre-defining. And the most interesting thing is that Simon wasn't really a rock or metal drummer per se. He came from jazz, fusion, and prog backgrounds, and by then was already hailed as a prodigy. But instead of holding back, Simon came in swinging with an approach that was surgical, explosive, and way beyond what most rock or metal drummers were doing in the mid-70s. His use of double bass drumming on Dissident Aggressor was simply groundbreaking. Most rock drummers at that time weren't using double bass pedals at all, and if they were, it was more for show than for speed and consistency. Simon, however, used it as a rhythmic backbone, delivering machine gun bursts that gave the track an intensity bordering on violence. But the craziest thing is that it isn't really just speed. It's phrasing. Simon alternates between rapid-fire patterns and syncopated accents that create tension and forward momentum. He builds and releases tension like a jazz drummer, but with ferocity of someone inventing extreme metal in real time.
A lot of bands didn't have demos. And he said, right, first song goes like this. So, join in and play. He said, right, then the next session goes like this. And that's how we put the songs together.
And even today, if you solo the drums on that track, they still sound incredibly intense. Just a raw talent and a vision of what heavy metal could be someday in the future. And the craziest thing is that, just run a little bit ahead of myself here, I just want to point out that this actually might be exactly why Judas Priest actually ignored this track for so many years. As the truth is that the only drummer who can actually give this song justice, in addition to Simon Phillips of course, is nobody else but Scott Travis. And if we take a look at the way he plays it for the very first time live in 2008, we might just as well see how insane this track actually is. Oh, and by the way, guys, here just wanted to point out that the episode you've been asking me to do for so many years now is finally ready. Yes, I finally finished the episode on all songs Judas Priest have ignored throughout the years, and it turned out to be more than 33 minutes long.
I'm tired, boss.
What? But anyways, it is actually already available on my Patreon and right here on YouTube for all of the YouTube channel members. So if you're one of those, thank you guys, first of all, for all your support, and secondly, go ahead and watch it. And if you would like to become one and watch it way ahead of its time, just know that the link to it will of course be in the description to this video. And once again, just apologies for making it that long, because yes, there was quite a lot we had to talk about there.
Watch out! I am the lethal. I'm going from here until eternity. I'm feeling.
But anyways, in addition to Simon Phillips, Halford's vocal delivery on this track is one of the most feral and urgent of his entire early career. And Glenn Tipton and K.K. down and deliver some of the most sharp riffs and wild rhythmic shifts So basically something which was extremely unusual for any rock or heavy metal band of the mid-70s. As this wasn't just really heavy metal, it was thrash before thrash was a thing. And that's exactly why so many die-hard Judas Priest fans, including Slayer themselves, today point to Dissident Aggressor as one of the key blueprints for what would eventually become the Bay Area thrash metal sound. Now, most thrash metal fans of course do know that Slayer actually did cover Dissident Aggressor on their South of Heaven album. Well, they were one of the many bands who did that. But anyways, in one of the interviews, K.K actually did mention that one of the reasons the band did that was specifically because he personally never understood why the flip this song was not getting the recognition it deserved. And if we take a look at the much heavier, thrash metal-like Slayer rendition of this track, we'll see that they actually didn't really change much of it, as that song was already heavy as hell when it was released all the way back in 1976. Yet despite its ferocity, Dissident Aggressor wasn't really a mindless rage, as we all know that metal should always be kept outside of politics, right? No. According to Rob Halford, the lyrics were inspired by the oppressive, divided atmosphere of Cold War-era Berlin, a city Halford first visited sometime in the 1970s. And the imagery reflects the Berlin Wall, totalitarian control, and the inner turmoil of someone trapped between two worlds. The song itself raises the themes of state violence, propaganda, and oppression, and this multiple layered meaning makes it even more so powerful, and even more so fitting to the world of thrash metal, as we all know that those guys always kept politics outside of their rendition of metal, right?
I was born for dying.
Yet nevertheless, despite all that, Judas Priest actually performed Dissident Aggressor just a handful of times back in the 1970s, and even after all those bands around the world started naming this tune as one of the most influential for them, they still completely ignored this track for decades. And only after Judas Priest's reunion with the legendary Rob Halford, the band performed this song live for the very first time once again. And this is when Dissident Aggressor finally has gotten the recognition it deserved, both from the band and from the masses.
Stabbing and plotting, punching and prodding, boosting the brain of a man.
Despite the whole fact that Judas Priest as a band were nominated for a Grammy Award gazillion times throughout their career, including this year as well, the only time Judas Priest actually did win a Grammy Award for Best Metal Performance was for a live version of Dissident Aggressor. No new studio material, no promotional single, just a live cut from their A Touch of Evil live album for a song which was released more than 30 years before that. This was the song that has gotten Priest their first ever Grammy, which, if you think about it, actually makes perfect sense, as this was a track that pushed the genre forward when no one else was doing it. A track that laid the groundwork for thrash, speed, and modern extreme metal. And it just took 33 years and a killer live version of it for the world to finally recognize it. And the truth is that Dissident Aggressor was simply too much for 1977. Too fast, too angry, too different. It is one of those rare tracks that aged better with time, growing in reputation with every new generation of metalheads who discover it. And I truly hope that in the future Judas Priest will continue giving a nod to its groundbreaking legacy. And what about you? What do you guys personally think about Dissident Aggressor and Sin After Sin overall? Please let us know in the comments, as well as whether you would like to see Judas Priest on their upcoming Shield of Pain tour. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Please don't forget to check out my very long video on the songs Judas Priest ignored throughout the years, and we will prevail. Slava Ukraini!